Hi, and welcome back to the Money Effect, where I bring you all news, money, and finance topic related. Disclaimer: this is not financial advice, just strictly for educational purposes and just my opinions. And please hit the like and subscribe for the YouTube algo and continued content. Thank you very much. Now that's out the way, let's go. So it's been a while since I've done one of these videos, and I thought I'd just catch up on, just take a look at the macroeconomic environment around the world and where we are as we head into the winter season. We came out of a good summer, crypto rallied, some stocks rallied, and basically we're seeing that was just they call it a dead cat bounce rally. So if you drop a dead cat out the window, it might bounce, but it's eventually going to stay back down, and that's kind of what we're seeing. And we'll kind of talk about, we're still in a negative period in financial markets, crypto markets, and the world economy, and it's likely going to continue for 2023. So let's see what's going on in the world. And one of the big things is now, and not the Queen's death, we had we've got a new UK government out there. This guy on the screen right here is our new Chancellor, Kwasi Kwarteng, and he has now come up with a mini budget. And in a sense, what we're going to see is we're going to see different central banks. We're going to see different countries. They're going to start proposing different solutions to get us out of, you know, obviously some people might not be feeling it, but what is in essence high inflation, cost of living crisis. That's what's going on in the UK, going on around the world in other countries, and potentially next year we're going to be looking at some recessions. So the UK government, their solution is, inflation is here, it's high, but it will eventually come down. But what we need to do is focus more on growth. So the UK government have said, the Bank of England have raised rates, just like every other central bank, and probably going to raise rates further. But the UK government has said, you know what, we're going to start cutting tax. Apparently, this is the biggest cut in taxes for 50 years, and obviously you can read more into a bit how it will affect you, but in a sense, they're cutting taxes because they want to encourage growth. We've already seen they've done their energy bill that's going to limit the cap on energy prices, so they believe that will take down inflation. And the main thing is to increase growth, because we don't want to get into what we call stagflation, where we have high inflation and low growth, because that's just not good for anyone. Normally when we have high inflation, that means growth is good because people are spending and demand is high. Obviously things go up, but that's not what we're facing right now, because demand is the same, but we still got inflation. So why there's inflation there? I mean, everyone's got their own reasons. I know why. I think why we've had all this money pumped into the country since, not even COVID 2008, where we had the banking crisis and interest rates have been at low rates, and people have been getting all their mortgages, all this cheap money out there. So obviously things have gone up, and then we had COVID with limited supply. But the UK government has decided, you know what, we're going to go for growth. And like I said, I'm not going to go into it too much, but they're basically going to start cutting taxes, cutting corporation tax. Um, there's some things here. They're scrapping 45p rate. It's going to go back to the 45 pence. So I think if you earn over 150, you was paying 45% on that. It's now going to be 40%. They're reversing the national insurance thing. There's some things about tourists, bankers' bonuses now getting reduced, and I think income tax is going to go down by 1%, so that would affect all people. But in a sense, it's a budget for the rich and to keep growth. So how's that going to go? We're going to see how that's going to go. Obviously, we saw here the sterling didn't really like it that much, and we're now nearly coming to parity with the dollar. So let's see. It's a big shift. This lady here, Liz Truss, she's the new prime minister. She wants to make a name for herself, and she's gonna do a name for herself opposite to what Rishi was gonna do. He was gonna, you know, keep things cut, keep taxes high and stuff, so that that would reduce inflation. And then once that's under control, he would have done this. But she's saying no, forget that. Inflation will go down eventually, and we need to start thinking about growth. So we're gonna see how that's gonna end. But if it doesn't end well, the UK stocks and when I mean UK stocks, I don't mean FTSE 100, because that's a lot of internationals, and we've seen a lot of those companies are doing well with the low pound. But the FTSE 250, 350, those kind of stocks, they're going to be more affected. So listen, important news, big news right now. So go read up on it. What's going on across the pond? So in summer, the Federal Reserve said basically they're going to be data dependent. They're going to see what the data is saying on inflation. I think inflation went down a little bit, and that kind of gave the markets. We've talked about all these growth stocks, cryptocurrency. They're all kind of being led by the markets at the moment, the macro environment. Once all this is sorted, then maybe they'll look more into how good these companies are, how good they're doing. But at the moment, right now, nobody's thinking that. So what's going on? The Federal Reserve has said basically, they're going to keep raising interest rates. They're not stopping until they think inflation is done. So they're going to just keep going now. And potentially they're going to get to a rate in 2023 and they're going to keep it at that rate. Me personally, I don't feel like in terms of cryptos and growth stocks, all those stocks everyone was obsessed with, until you see the Federal Reserve either stop raising rates, signal they're going to stop raising rates, or lower raising rates, or signal some quantity reason, which I don't believe is going to happen anytime soon. And they've said it's not going to happen anytime soon. I believe they're going to cause a recession, whether it's going to be a hard recession, we're going to struggle to come out of, whether it's going to be a soft recession, i.e., low economic growth for a couple of months or a couple of quarters, and then we bounce straight back. And by 2024, everything's looking good. Who knows? But if you think that we're at a bottom point of how low stocks can go, how low crypto can go based on macroeconomic factors, I would think again, me personally. So if you've got a lot of cash on the side and you're thinking, yo, this is the time to lump it all in, again, this is educational purposes, but I wouldn't. But I would do is keep an eye out on what's going on in the markets, and definitely a good point to start putting in money every month, and that's what I advocate, putting money every month, having a good maybe 3-year minimum time frame at the moment now, because I feel like these stock markets are still going to go lower. We're in a bear cycle. They keep saying we're not in a recession, we're not in a bear market, but I mean, if things are dropping like this, then clearly we are. So the Federal Reserve, they're going to be big on inflation. They're going to be big on cryptocurrencies, and they're saying they're not stopping. So just got to keep an eye out. When they stop, that's when I can say, okay, like we'll assess the picture then. But till then, stocks are going to keep going lower because they're going to keep raising rates, and we don't know. This is a lagging indicator. So you raise rates today, you don't know the impact till 12 months time, 18 months time. So the fact that they're raising so high now, we're not actually going to know the impact till 2024, 2025. And at that point, if inflation is down and then they start saying, okay, now we need to boost growth and do quantitative easing again and all this stuff, then we might see the stocks running. But then if inflation is still high and we're in recession, then we might just see stocks even hit levels we've never seen before and just keep selling off. So I feel like the Federal Reserve has said it clear. At the moment, they're not stopping. And I feel like if you have, especially if you're somebody that is into cryptos and all these little growth stocks which are getting affected by the interest rates, now is not the time to go all gung ho in the market. I know things are at a good level, but it's not the time because we could go, potentially we're going to go below the lows of COVID. But if you're somebody that's got a good time frame, 3 to 5 years time frame, definitely no harm in putting a amount you can afford to not have to worry about in every month. But that's what the Fed Reserve is. They're driving that market and they're saying, yep, they're going for it. What else are we seeing? BP, you know, um, energy companies. We all know the cost of living crisis, inflation. One of the big reasons is energy companies. Why it is, why it isn't, who knows? But definitely, this is going to continue. We're also seeing talks from OPEC that they're saying they're going to reduce supply to increase the prices later on in the year. So, I mean, would I invest in energy companies right now? I mean, they've had such a great run, obviously, because of what's been going on. But I don't think this is over yet. So definitely keep a lookout. And then on the flip side, we're seeing companies that are getting affected by inflation in a negative way, like ASML. That's like they do semiconductors and things like that. Obviously, their prices of inputs are going up now. So obviously, they're coming out with profit warnings and saying it's going to affect them. So you're going to see companies like this start going down. And one company, Apple, they're saying, they brought out some new phones and they're saying they're going to maintain the prices on them despite inflation. But we're seeing other companies saying, no, we need to increase the prices of our stuff. And then obviously, when you increase the price, the demand is not there. What's going to happen to the company's earnings? So at the moment, earnings are being steady. Companies like Apple, these big companies are reporting decent earnings. But what happens now when they have to increase their prices and demand is not there, or their input costs are increasing, like an ASML that does these conductor chips for these iPhones, and their costs are going up and their prices are not going up. So obviously their revenue is going to fall. So again, we're probably going to see more now going into 2023. These big companies now that are reporting good earnings, that are seem to be resilient now, start being less resilient, and then that could even lead to we're already seeing reduction in the workforce and things like that. So again, it's something to keep an eye on next year about recession. That's going to be the big theme: recession next year, and employees, companies stop hiring employees, and price increases and how it affects demand. If we get to the point where inflation starts going down and these companies are still putting up good earnings and they still put up good forward guidance and inflation is going down, then obviously going forward, going into 2024, obviously the companies are going to be profitability. But me personally, I don't think so. I think we're going to start seeing earnings from big companies now start decreasing, and that means Apple. And I haven't got the Apple share price in front of me, but if you see how much it's fallen, probably going to be falling a lot more. So again, if you're somebody that wants to delve all into the market right now because we're falling to lows, I mean, it's not as bad as if you bought it last year, but definitely I would take into consideration that these companies' earnings have not factored the impact of inflation yet. Based on that, we've also got, what's going on in the war. Obviously, this is again a macroeconomic factor. We had Putin come out with, I don't know if it's a referendum, state address, or whatever the hell he's doing these days. He's put, I think the Ukraine. I'm not too sure what's going on here in the world, but Ukrainians are coming back. We never know because we just get told what we get told. But apparently, the Ukrainians are coming back, and Putin is saying, "Listen, like I'm bringing back them nukes threat again." So who knows? Because if we start seeing nuclear weapons, all this investing and that ain't really gonna matter. That's gonna be the least of your worries. That's gonna be about finding a nuclear bunker to invest in and food. Those will be the commodities that will increase in value. So again, keep an eye on it. It's kind of been forgotten about um, the war. Obviously now it's in the background now. So unless there's an escalation, it's going to be limited impact on the world economy. Obviously, we're going into winter where Russia threatened to restrict gas into Europe again. Again, that's going to increase energy prices. Businesses, obviously, the UK have come out with their bill. Um, say Germany, they've nationalised some energy companies. So these things are being factored in. But what's not being factored in, and obviously no one can ever factor that in, is if things escalate. But then at the same time, maybe things will de-escalate, and if things do de-escalate, that would definitely be if what they're saying is supply is causing all this inflation from partly from the war. I don't really believe this. I think it's obviously it's a part of it, but not to me. It's not the whole part. That will definitely be a cloud in the short term lifted off the world economy. So definitely pay attention to what's going on there and be positive because maybe it can be resolved, and that would definitely be again a good signal that the world is coming back to some sense. I know. Let's look at China. This is one good investment trust. Got a lot of stocks in it. Some of these. I don't know if you think it's got the holdings, but some of these big Chinese companies that's in there, like Alibaba, and it's basically a value trust. So it looks at companies that are distressed and then tries to pick them up at a bargain. Obviously, we know in China right now, they've got some issues. They're sticking to this zero COVID policy. So as soon as they get one person with COVID, they'll just lock down the whole area. I mean, is COVID still going on right now? I mean, in China, apparently it still is. So that's affecting their growth. Obviously, there's other issues they've got. We don't know what's going on with this Taiwan. Are they going to, if they invade Taiwan, America are going to defend them, and that's going to be another war. They've got increased property prices that are now all going. All these property companies are going bankrupt in China. So there's a lot of things going on in China, but China is obviously a big economy, and as you can see, look, this is a fund that over the last years is literally, we're getting to COVID lows now. Yeah, so we're really getting to COVID lows. But if we look on a 5 year level, we can still go a lot lower. But if you're somebody that is interested in China, I mean, we've gone low, and like I said, we could still get lower. But if you're somebody that likes to invest in China, this is a fund. It's got all the you're just going to invest in one company. So I would never invest in one company in China, but you have like at least exposure to a lot of companies. And again, look, I mean, it's at such a low level that yeah, you might lose money, but it's not like you're going to lose it if it was out here. So still some things going on in China. They did announce some government growth policies, so hopefully that'll take effect. And I feel like once they start getting rid of that zero COVID stuff, which they will eventually, and they don't war with America, then China's definitely going to be looking at as a boom economy again. So, and then we'll go to say finish it off by what's going on in crypto. What's going on in crypto, and as you can see, Bitcoin is dropped because of the ongoing volatility, and that's really what it is. So if we start with two things, we had the major news of this Ethereum merge, had a great build up. Had a great build up since the merge. It was successful. Read up about the merge in terms of Ethereum. It's just only one. I think there's 5 stages. It's only one stage. But if you're somebody that believes cryptocurrencies is here to stay, Ethereum is probably the only crypto. Well, not the only one, but it's the main crypto in terms of actually has uses. Whether that's DeFi like finance loans, but away from banks. Obviously NFTs, all that stuff, like they're all built on Ethereum blockchain. So Ethereum is one of the few cryptos that actually has a practical use. Like Bitcoin has no practical use. It's just what is Bitcoin? We still don't know. Is it a store of value, inflation hedge, deflation hedge? It's not proven to be successful in any of those cases. But all we know from Bitcoin is limited supply. So once the halving happens, price just has to go up naturally. We're seeing a lot of institutions are buying on these lows and trying to take over Bitcoin. So clearly they think it has some kind of value. But Ethereum is mainly the one. But Ethereum now, since the merge is dropping and probably going to drop more. I wouldn't be surprised if we're saying that Bitcoin is going to test 12,000. Maybe even lower to 3,000. But I mean, definitely, I think it's going to go lower than this, 18,000. I think Ethereum is probably going to go lower than that. Again, if you're somebody that's a crypto long-term believer, maybe you want to start accumulating, but I wouldn't. There's so much going on in the world, and all these cryptos, no matter what use they have, no matter what um, utility or function they could provide in the world in 5 to 10 years, they're all literally being driven by the macroeconomic environments, by what's going on in America in the interest rates, by what's going on in inflation, what's going on in the war. That's all just having an impact on them right now. So whether we look at Ethereum and say one day this is going to be the new Apple or the new Amazon, the way that those companies came to the forefront after the tech boom in the 2000s. When we're looking at crypto, it's going to be the same thing, but maybe it will get there eventually. But right now, it's just that those macroeconomic factors are what's affecting it. Again, I will do a chart if I'm going to look at one crypto that I like, but if you're somebody that's in this crypto space, again, would I go in all out with all my money right now? Absolutely not. Would I start looking to build a position, averaging in, putting a bit aside monthly and just forgetting about it? A bit you can afford to lose? Definitely. And to take in like one crypto that's been doing well, Solana. They announced a new phone. They've got their own NFTs now. They're building NFTs on Solana network. It's still a lot behind Ethereum, but if you look at the price of Solana, this thing peaked at 250. If you're somebody that here was buying here, then boy, you've lost all this money. But if you're somebody that is now just building a position here, that one day it might get back up to that. Again, it's great, but as you can see, this thing started from $1, so it could go down a lot more. So again, would I be going in? No, but in terms of if you're somebody that's new to this, if you're somebody that's got an interest, this is the time you want to build up your knowledge. You want to open your accounts. You want to, there was a time when Trading 212 wasn't taking any accounting people. You couldn't open an account with them. Now you can. Coinbase, you can open an account with these people now. Get your documents in order now. Start opening your accounts, putting money away. Because if you was somebody that was interested here when everybody was talking about it, I just don't see why you wouldn't be interested in here just because no one's talking about it. No, this is the times. This is the times you want to be getting. You want to be invested, and if history repeats itself, and we go through um we do go through these up and down cycles, So we look at Bitcoin. So if we look at the Bitcoin price, for example, and we say like over 5 years, let's say maximum actually, remember when everyone was talking about Bitcoin here, it was here, 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 then we had this rally to 14,000. That was in the 2017s, yeah, and it just literally went down and went to shit. And then you can see here for a few years, nobody was talking about crypto, nobody was talking about it. But those that were slowly building their positions for years, were believing in it, then boom, it went all the way up to here. Now, likely it's going to come down more, but again, if you're somebody that's looking at these and thinking, 2, 3 years, we've got predictions of in 2030, and this could be 1 million a coin. So I'm not sure that's going to be true or not, but I mean, it's better than buying it at 50,000. So this is the money effect. Thank you for staying tuned. Try and keep these videos updated. But yeah, in summary, stuff is not good. We're going into winter and we're going to go into 2023. And I think the main thing that I'll just take away anyone here is if you're looking to dump your life savings into the markets because they're at low prices, I would just probably reassess that approach because their macroeconomic certainty, which is now literally driving everything right now, is still not certain. So, yeah, money effect, peace, and out.